welcome back. You've joined the HOG Auckland Chapter, and we're just pulling away from, or just about to pull away from, North Auckland Harley-Davidson on the North Shore. We're passing by there Deano from Deano's Motorcycle Rides. You should check out his channel if you haven't seen it. He puts up some great ride videos. And he has captured this ride all the way out to the Puhoi Pub, which is our destination. As for me, I'm capturing only the first part of this ride up to the Albany hill, and the reason for that is a very sad one. I had a camera recording malfunction come the top of the hill, but I got some great footage up until that time, so we're going to capture that. Now this particular ride, it's a beautiful winter's day, cloudless skies, blue everywhere, and a perfect day, perfect riding conditions, and this generally does flush out a decent group of riders, and that's what happened today. We had about 21 bikes turn up, a number of them with pillions like myself. I've got my wife on the back today, and we're all just looking for a good ride. So I planned out a ride heading to Puhoi Pub. We're going to head up through Albany, through Riverhead, past the Riverhead forest, or what used to be a forest, much of it has been cleared, then over through Dairy Flat, around Wainui, Waitoki way, and then through Orewa, over the Waiwera hill, past Wenderholm, and then a straight run through to the Puhoi Pub, where we ended up having a great time on a very busy, almost felt like summer. Well, it didn't feel like summer, there was no rain. We've had an awful summer. Anyway, let's not think about that, let's think about today's ride. So we're getting on the motorway at Akaranga Drive, as we would normally do, and the first thing our groups will do, whether we're heading north or south, is try and get all the bikes into one lane. And typically we'd choose the fast lane so we can just keep abreast of the traffic and only move over to the left when we are leaving the motorway, and we'll again do that in a staged manner to make sure that we really create as little inconvenience as possible to vehicles. Now we're in the fast lane because we're generally going faster than most of the other vehicles on the road, and it's much easier to keep us all together that way. We're not having people cutting in and out of the lane, which can create some mayhem in group rides. Now, as you can see, we're heading our way northwards, and despite the fabulous weather, we're pleasantly surprised that there's not more traffic on the road. In fact, the road traffic is really light for a Saturday, especially when the weather's like this. Typically this would cause Aucklanders to come out in their droves to clog up the roads and head north to holiday homes or to beaches. Maybe not so much beaches these days, it is actually quite cold despite how it looks. Now our HOG group rides, we try to stay on the motorway only as long as necessary before we can get to a nice off-ramp and start enjoying some kind of open road country riding, and that's very much what's going to be happening here. Within the next couple of kilometres we're going to be exiting the motorway as we start climbing a hill up here, at which point you'll see us starting to switch lanes. There's a group and moving across, getting ready to exit the motorway through the left-hand lane, off-ramp to Otehaveli Road. We will be making extensive use of corner markers during this ride. That is where we leave a rider behind, positioned at a corner to indicate are we turning left, are we turning right as a group, to make up for when the group gets spread out and you're not actually in line of sight with the riders in front. The only place that we're not leaving a corner marker is down at the bottom of the off-ramp here, because before each ride we will have a rider briefing, and during that briefing I made it quite clear when we get off the motorway at Otehaveli Road we're going to be turning left and then carrying along until we get to Albany Village. So no point to leave a corner marker down here, but from this point onwards we will be leaving corner markers as soon as we deviate from the main road. This section of the road is, I guess, semi-suburban, kind of a built-up area. No housing. The housing residential area is up on the hills over my right shoulder, to the left as you're looking at the screen. Down here it's more bus station and retail area, so pretty sparsely populated. 2-lane highway each way. And as we get along here, we will be coming to a couple of roundabouts that we can get through, and at some later point we are going to be getting off the road to the Otea Valley Road extension, at which point we'll be leaving our first corner marker. So far so good, pretty simple follow the leader stuff. And coming up ahead, a little way ahead, we'll be turning off the main road, turning right down Otea Valley Road extension, which will take us through into Albany village. So as we're around in the corner here, I just signalled to mark the corner. You can see the rider behind me, actually one of the other road captains, mate of mine. Pulls over to mark that corner for the rest of the crew coming along, and we head up towards the traffic lights. Now the traffic lights didn't treat us too kindly here. What they did was they stayed green until I got right up on them and through the intersection. Then they went and changed, which meant we left half the crew behind, or well, way more than half the crew behind. But that's okay. During the ride brief, we'd actually also said, listen, we'll be having our first regroup as a ride at the top of the Albany hill, so there's no point to hang around or wait for anybody. We just kept on going. Up to the top of the Albany hill, there's a service station up there. Pull off the side of the road, and at that point we wait. And it's really from this point onwards on this piece of road that turning left or right, there's many different ride options to make a ride interesting for you around here. We're ending up going straight up the hill, and we'll be turning left down the Riverhead highway before finding Ridge Road and heading, well, O'Brien's Road first, turns into Ridge Road, travelling down the Paremoremo Ridge, if you like, down towards Riverhead before cutting back onto the Riverhead highway. By doing so, we miss a couple of things. There's some big roadworks on the top end of the Riverhead highway due to road collapse and slippage through all the awful weather we've been having. And if we stayed all the way on to Ridge Road, we'd run into the same problem towards the end there, more road collapse and slippage. So we're kind of skirting around all the damaged parts of the road, and that's pretty much the story of our lives getting around Auckland these days. We've got to put a little bit of thought into how the ride's going to go and check and double check the roads to make sure they're still there, or at least still usable. And in doing that, you can make sure that you've got yourself a ride that's going to be fun to ride and safe for all the riders that are riding with you as well. And that's pretty much the key. Whatever we want to do is have fun on the ride, but also get there safely at the end. That's the most important thing. Now, as you can see, including my bike, there's only 4 of us travelling along. We started out with about 21, but it's not such a big problem because we know they're coming up the hill. They're not going to get lost. They know that we're going to be waiting at the top of the hill, and it's just a matter of parking the bikes at the top. We'll leave them running because they're only going to be a couple of minutes behind us at most, and that's how it turned out. We went on the side of the road, out of the traffic, as soon as the tail end Charlie, my mate Deano, comes up, signals that we're all there, then we'll carry on again on our ride, leaving corner markers as we go, and eventually regroup again and repeat. And so our ride goes on. Anyway, on that note, I'll leave you there. Wish you safe riding wherever you are. Have fun out there, ride safe, see you next time.